with the Blaze semi-rigid pannier system. I'm going to break out the tools. I'll meet you in a minute. We'll see just how good these things really are. So SW-Motech have very kindly sent me these bags to stick them on my bike, try them out, and to show how we can go touring on sporty bikes without ruining the look of them. If we delve into the left-hand pannier here, we will find the bike-specific mounting hardware. Inside of this relatively small package, we have 2 bendy silver poles and a small bubble wrap bag which has inside it 2 steel plate brackets, 2 plastic clippy things, and an assortment of nuts and bolts. The mounting brackets are bike specific, so every bike is different. On the Yamaha FZ1, we use the rear foot peg mounting points to connect the bracketry. And this is then bolted over the rear foot peg hanger using the bolts and spacers and washers provided in the kit. I think it's quite a nice touch that they've put black bolts over this black bracket, trying to avoid making the hardware stand out and spoiling the look of the bike. Okay, so that's the bracket on the bike. We take our plastic clip piece. This is actually a 2-part thing, so we separate the 2 parts out. This is the bit we're interested in right now. Using the nuts and bolts in the bag here, that's going to be bolted onto this bracket there. But we leave the bolt that's in the bottom foremost corner empty. Tighten those up using these stainless flange nuts. And then for the last hole down here, we have to put the bolt through this quick release buckle using the longest of the M5 bolts through the hole. Then there's already a hole in the strap here, so we go through that. A nice big washer to spread the weight on the strap and stop the nut from damaging in any way. And then last of all, the last of the 4 nuts. If I had followed the instructions to the letter, I would of course have assembled all of this stuff before I attached it to the bike. But this way, the bracket is holding everything still, so I can use both hands to do the nuts and the bolts up with. So then we can do all 4 of those up tight. And then the last one, I'm just going to pull the strap up because it needs to eventually go in this direction. So now, as you can see, the quick release buckle is on the bike. Now we need to fit the clippy bit that goes into it to the bar which actually holds the panniers away from the bike. These are clearly marked. They've got the same part number, but one has an L at the end, one has an R at the end. L stands for last, because we'll do that one last. R stands for right now. So this bar goes into the back end of this clip, thus, and then using the 2 smallest M5 bolts, plus 2 nylock nuts to pinch this plastic piece down onto the bar. That is solid. So now, this bar clips onto the back there, and then you've got a bar that keeps your panniers away from the bodywork of your bike, away from your exhaust pipe, away from your wheel. And last of all, because the devil is in the details, a nice little plastic bung to make the end of your bar look a little bit nicer. That is one side fitted. There we go, there's the other side I've actually put together as SW-Motech intended, so you can better see what's going on here. We've got the steel bracket, plastic clip, there's this quick release buckle on the back here, and then the bar into that clip there, which with a nice firm press, which is good to see. That's not too easy just to accidentally kick off with your feet. That bit slides out, leaves you just with the female piece of the clip and the bracket. Right, stick this on the foot peg and we'll put the bags on the bike. So this is how the bike would ordinarily look in daily use. No scaffolding, no extra hardware or anything sticking out over the nice clean back end of the bike. Just these little black clips there on the foot peg hangers, which, particularly on my bike being black, just blend into the whole thing quite nicely, I think. And then we simply take our bars, and then it's finally time to get involved with the bags themselves. So if we get them separated, there's a nice little channel here on the back side of both bags. So what we do is slide that bar into that channel, slide this bar into that channel. Now we can take these throw-over straps, bring that over the top of the bike this way, bring that over the top of the bike this way. The panniers are now pretty much in place. Now of course they can still slide backwards. That's what that little clip we put on the back there is for. Undo this Velcro tie, and then this clip on the end of a strap on the bag there clips into the clip on the back of the buckle, and then you can pull that tight and that pannier can no longer slide backwards on the bar for a nice solid fix. Same again on the other side. Clip it into the buckle, pull the whole thing tight. There we go. Those panniers are now solidly fitted to the bike. They can't move any closer towards the bodywork, they're not interfering with the indicators, and they're being held off of the exhaust pipe. And should you so wish, there's actually another bungee loop there, so you could stick another bungee just to be absolutely sure. And then, thanks to this little Velcro tie thing sewn into the end of the strap, you can loop this up neatly and then strap the whole thing together on the bar there, out of the way. Tidy. So now that they're fitted, what about the bags themselves? Well, they are typical top quality SW-Motech fare. They're made from 1680 ballistic nylon. As they are now, they are 14 litres per side, but by undoing this big long zip, they pop out to give you an extra 7 litres, taking up to 21 litres per side. Pop! And also on each side there's a tiny little side opening pocket. As I already mentioned, this is a semi-rigid system, so the bags themselves actually have a semi-solid shell to them, which means they're going to maintain their shape even when they're empty. They're being made of ballistic nylon, they're going to be shower-proof at best, but fear not, because if we open this top opening main compartment, inside here comes with 2 waterproof inner bags, and as ever the typical flashy red lining of SW-Motech. Interesting to see as well, you can actually get in here and it looks like you could potentially remove that hard shell piece, which, nice to see, is made of plastic, not of cardboard. So there's going to be no worries about that getting soggy or going floppy. Now the waterproof bags, from what I've read on the internet, have baffled many people as to how they're supposed to fit them, and it's very quickly obvious they're not going to go outside. And here's the secret, they're inner bags. Put the bag inside the pannier, pack your stuff in, do up the Velcro at the top, roll it, clip it together, and now everything inside is waterproof. Now the bags themselves are very nicely made, all taped seams, high quality stuff. And of course, with them being inner bags, this isn't necessarily the kind of thing that you would carry around and then use in a rain shower. You either have to put them in at the beginning of your journey or repack everything if it starts to rain. Now the paintwork protective of you would have probably noticed by now the bags are touching the paintwork here. Take this Velcro off, you can see that this is actually very soft rubberized stuff, but in any case it's not ideal that it's touching the paintwork. But that's where the next little accessory surprise of these bags comes in. Inside here we've got 2 sheets of clear vinyl film, which is self-adhesive stuff that you can trim to shape, stick onto your paintwork to protect it from the bags itself, again without changing the look of the bike because it's completely clear. It's another very nice touch, and you get shed loads of it as well. Also worth mentioning that for those of you worried about security, obviously it's not quite the same as a hard pannier, but these zips do actually have eyelets which are lockable together, so there is an element of security to this system. But for the real test, we need to get them off, go back inside and get them packed up. So when it comes to removing them from the bike, you just need to unclip this buckle here. Same on the other side. That then allows you to slide the bags backwards off of those bars. And you can either separate these Velcro throw-over pieces or leave them at the right size, pull the bags together, and then connect the 2 carrying handles, meaning that the whole system is then carryable with one hand. And I would personally then stuff all of this crap inside these sleeves out of the way. Then of course you can either leave these bars on if you're going to be loading the bike up again the next day, or if you're worried about somebody making off with them, unclip that one, unclip that one, and then on the walk back to your hotel room try desperately hard not to pretend that you're Wolverine with your new claws. Arrgh. Yeah, so far I'm impressed. Let's see if the trend continues when we've got them full of stuff. Well, we're back in the hub and I've got laid out before me an assortment of essentials that you're definitely going to need when you're going on a bike trip. So we're going to have a quick test packing just to see how much stuff we can get into these bags. For reality's sake, I'm going to do this with the waterproof bags because, as I already said, if you don't use the waterproof bags and it starts to rain, you're going to have to unpack everything to then repack it with the waterproof bags. These bags do not go over the panniers. Right, well the waterproof bag is in there and I'm going to do this in 2 stages. First of all, we're going on a theoretical long weekend trip. So in the bag goes 1, 2, 3, 4 t-shirts. Bit annoying that this flap keeps on popping down. It'd be quite nice to have some way of holding that back. On top of that, I'm going to stick a spare jumper. On top of that, I'm going to put my cold weather gloves. In the back here goes my wash kit, although because I'm a man, all that's in there is a toothbrush and a small bottle containing the tears of my fallen enemies. Also in there, I'm going to stick a small towel. And for wandering around in my accommodations, a nice pair of Batman flip-flops. So we'll call that one finished. Velcro up in the middle, roll the top, click it to itself. Move on to bag number 2. Once again, inner liner, and in here I'm going to shove 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of undercrackers, 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of socks, a pair of jeans for if you want to sit at the bar without looking like a Power Ranger, with the double added benefit that these are actually Vanucci Kevlar jeans, so I could ride down the pub. Also, from out of nowhere, I'm going to stick a really small summer sleeping bag. That does literally only just fit in there, that's just starting to bulge the bag a little bit. And then last and possibly most importantly, in this gap left at the back end here, my waterproof jacket. So that is now full. So there we go, unexpanded, 14 litres per side. We've got all the essentials that would allow you to get away with a long weekend trip. Obviously these side pockets are still empty, but they are proper tight now. So you're only going to be able to put maybe your passport, a packet of fags if you're lucky. But important to remember that these side pockets are not going to be waterproof because they're outside of the inner liner. So now that's done, let's go for phase 2. We're now going on a full week, 7-day trip. So what I'm going to do is just unzip this to expand the bag out, and that's now given us an extra 7 litres per side, so we're now at 21 litres per bag. So just open it back up, take those out for a second, and in here I'm going to stuff another 1, 2, 3 t-shirts, and one of those is a long sleeve, pair of shorts for the beach, another spare jumper, and stick our flip-flops back on top. And on the other side, take the sleeping bag out, because with this relatively thin opening on the bag, once you're expanded you've got to kind of reach in and round to the corner to get everything in there. Now, I didn't really notice it so much when the bags were narrow, but now that they're wider, the opening does suddenly feel a little bit restrictive with packing, but it's not something we can't deal with. So into here we're going to stick another 1, 2, 3 sets of undercrackers, so we're up to 7 sets of skiddies now, plus 1, 2, 3 more pairs of socks. So that's now a week's worth of foot warmers. Stick the sleeping bag back in there. Now I can shove it to the side, which gives me a nice big space here, into which I can shove my 11-inch tablet, because you never know when you might want to do some editing when you're on the road, leaving us just enough room to stick in some casual footwear. And there we go, that one's now full. And bosh, now our panniers are packed with all the stuff we need for a week-long trip. And to be honest, I haven't packed these particularly cleverly. I've just done it quickly and dirtily, and as you can see, there's still a fair bit of space here to put a few extra things, but I've just smashed in the essentials. Also, something else that's quite noteworthy for some of you, I tried first of all with my 13-inch HP ProBook, because it would have been nicer to have a bit more computing power on the road, but sadly it just doesn't fit, so I think that means that your 13-inch MacBooks are going to be out as well. Because of these chamfered edges and rounded corners, there's just not enough room for the laptop to go in there. So there, we're all zipped up. Let's carry these down to the bike, see how it feels with them on now that they're full of stuff. I'll see you on the street. We're on the street now, on the way to the bike, and although having the bags strapped together with one carrying handle is great, it does mean they're a little bit cumbersome when they're expanded like this, because you have to hold them out, otherwise they're bouncing off of your leg like that. It's almost easier just to rotate them through 90 degrees and then you can have your arm a bit closer to your leg, because holding them out at arm's length like that does get tiring pretty quick. Obviously another solution would be to separate the bags and have one in the left, one in the right, but unless you're in the habit of walking around with your helmet on in town, there's a good chance your other hand is going to be holding your helmet. I personally would also like to see some kind of a solution for putting the bars somewhere on the bag, maybe even a way of sliding them into their sleeves that they belong in and then clipping them in place. But that's a small thing. Obviously I've got enough space to stick 2 bars in the top, and unless you've stuffed the bags so full they're bulging, I think you'd probably be the same. So we have arrived at the car park of our holiday establishment. Need to fit the panniers onto the bike. First off, I was going to stick them on the floor, which reminds me, you're going to need to put the bags on the floor because you have to put the bars on before you can put the bags on the bike. And as such, I would have preferred to have seen some kind of rubber reinforcement down here to protect it from the various abrasive floor surfaces you're going to put it on. But again, that's just a very, very small criticism. Anyway, take out our bars, which are conveniently lettered L and R. So with the bars in place, disconnect our carrying handles, and then guide the left-hand one onto its bar, guide the right-hand one onto its bar, slide the whole thing forwards, and that's good that it is possible to do it with the bags fully loaded without undoing all of this nonsense, so you've still got exactly the same settings as you had when you took the bags off the bike. And then finally, just to hold everything steady. Incidentally, tip that I've discovered, if you leave these straps stuffed inside of these sleeves, when you put the bars in, that holds your extra strap in there out of the way. It's a nice easy way of keeping things tidy. And that's it. The bags are on. We are ready to hit the road and see how they fare being used in anger.